Hey, I'm here with a list of demands. Follow the show wherever you listen. Subscribe, share, like, and comment on the show on YouTube. Follow any and all of my social media as well. All of the links are in the description. And finally, if you're a real fan, which most of you aren't, head on over to buymeacoffee.com, use the link in my description, and buy me a goddamn coffee. It supports the show, which is me. So you're supporting me. Now that you've successfully ignored that, go ahead and enjoy today's episode. Yes, we're back. This is leave off from last episode, yesterday's episode, Ta-Ta for Now, Part 1. This is now Ta-Ta for Now, Part 2. Initially, when I had the idea to do today's, or to do this big episode, I was going to sit here and record for 2 hours straight, which is not what happened. Instead, it was about an hour and a half. And I got to as far as I could, and a lot of it was stupidness. And however, I did leave off on last episode, or I left off last episode talking about podcasts and comedy and the whole thing. And I just kind of wanted to leave you guys with some lovely parting words to remember me by, because I am not going to be talking to you guys for a little while. So one thing I did notice about doing a podcast is it has been great. It's one of the best things that you can do if you are trying to be an entertainer in any facet. It's great because it gives, you really do have, you have a lot of potential to put out a lot of stuff, right? You have a lot of potential to get stuff out to an audience. You have a mode to build an audience, right, so that they can eventually come see you live or come see you do whatever it is that you do. It's obviously great if you're an educator of any sort, if you're someone who works maybe you train people at your office, maybe you're an actual teacher, maybe you're just someone who knows a lot about something very specific. And this is a great way to get it out to people. It's a great way to learn it better yourself. You kind of force yourself to do something. People don't force themselves to do shit anymore. I for over 2 years, almost 2.5 years at this point, have forced myself to sit here and figure out how to get a podcast going, how to engage with an audience in a way that they find entertaining. And that's what I've wrestled with for this time period. And I think I've gotten some valuable data. I think that it's done nothing but help me. It's helped me figure out where exactly I want to go, what it is I want to do with all this time that we've been given, right? Because that's essentially what we got. We're born, we're breathing, we're walking around, we're learning, and really we're just given time. We don't know when the time is up. We have an idea, right? But it's not always that cut and dry. So podcasting has it's really helped me get into comedy, if we're being honest. And comedy is my main gig. Obviously, this podcast is something that I really, really enjoy doing. And there's a lot that I've taken away from it. I feel like maybe I have done far too much, right, in terms of what I do at this show. Maybe an hour twice a week is too much. I think that's the first thing that I'm thinking of. Maybe some editing. If I'm going to do an hour, maybe we should do some editing, right? Maybe record for an hour and a half and edit it down, kind of how I did yesterday's episode, right? Yesterday's episode, I went for about an hour and a half before I couldn't keep going, right? And I was able to edit through it and pick through it. And today's episode is obviously a continuation of that. That's why I'm wearing the same shirt. That's why I'm in the same fucking position. My hair has not changed. I am trying to just keep it all as one cohesive thought, one cohesive episode. And I left off last episode, of course, talking about podcasts and stand-up comedy. Now, what I really enjoy about having a podcast, other than what I've already told you, is that it's so independent. Stand-up comedy is already a very independent and low, kind of vulgar art.
And podcasts are kind of bridging the gap between stand-up comedians and authenticity and that type of thing, and radio shows. Now, as a kid, I grew up on listening to what my grandmother listened to on the radio when she picked me up from school, which was typically Republican radio, right? She'd listen to Dan York. She'd listen to Buddy Cianci, which I don't know if he was a Republican, but she would actually turn off Mike Savage. She would get very upset with Mike Savage. She had enough of what that guy would say, but she'd listen to Imus and not really. Mostly a lot of the local Rhode Island stuff, and that's a lot of what she would listen to. Rush Limbaugh, and you don't realize it as a kid, but it takes a lot to have a radio show, a talk radio show that's on pretty much every day for hours at a time. Yes, you get commercials. Yes, you get to talk to guests or call-ins, right? You get to do that kind of stuff. But it is very taxing on a person, right? To when you hear somebody that has been on the radio for a long fucking period of time, and now the radio's kind of dying out. Nobody gives a fuck about talk radio anymore, except for sports. Guys still don't mind sitting around, numbing their brains, listening to guys just like them who probably played a sport from the age of 5 to 10 and spent the rest of their time just commenting on it, right? Just kind of being a fan, being a fan of it. And that's what a lot of sport radio is, right? I already talk shit about sports journalists and whatever, except for my favorite one, Bobby Calamari. Shout out. I know he's been listening to the episodes recently. He's been he was part of probably my favorite episode that I've ever done, if not one of my favorites, my Christmas Eve special that I told you guys to listen to last week. And he's my best friend. One of my best friends. I got no problem with anything that he would ever do. Even if maybe what I'm talking about kind of aligns with him, it's okay. But most sports journalists irritate me. It's one of those, I don't know if sports needs reporting on. That's just kind of how I feel. It's obviously a major thing in our lives. I just kind of disagree with how major sports are, And again, this is me being biased because I love fighting sports, right? Do I think that there should be a press conference after every fight to hear about what the fighter felt and went through? And no, not really. Do I find it entertaining when there's long-form conversations on podcasts with fighters? And of course, I love the media. And I guess you could call those kind of sports, like if you think of Ariel Helwani, and he goes and he has guests on. I guess it's sports journalism, technically. But I don't know. I feel like it's weird to have reporters sitting there asking questions, and I get it. It's just like any other media. Any other form of media, there's going to be some kind of journalism that's engaging in it, and I have nothing but utmost respect for journalists, the ones that get after it, the ones that organize their unions and get to. They're giving people facts. They're giving people what is necessary to, whatever it is that is pertinent to what's going on in the world. I don't really care, what color shoes so-and-so is wearing at the Met Gala, right? That's another one that's useless. Entertainment, fucking journalism, right? Listening to the hairstyle that so-and-so wore, or Cardi B's 7 sex tips. Like, I could give a fuck less about that, even if it was a man who was saying it, right? I don't care. But that's what's great now is the free market of media. We can pretty much pick and choose what we want, sort of, right? Sort of. There's a lot that's shoved down our throats still. But again, you can just pick to ignore certain things, right? I ignore, except for when preparing for this show, I ignore most news that I come in contact with, because there's so much of it. You don't know what's true. You don't know where it's coming from. It's hard to fact check things. But that's what's cool about podcasts, right? Is it's kind of bridging that gap between journalism and kind of real life, right? Because journalism, the story is oftentimes skewed based on who is writing the story, what company is backing the writer. That's typically what happens, right? It's very much. You hope that it's objective. You hope that that's the case, but it rarely ever is. There's very, very often there's a rhetoric about any given topic that people don't want to turn down, they don't want to turn away from, they don't want to be open to ideas outside of it, which is where you get some of the best social commentary, right? When it doesn't even need to be a comedian, it just so happens that a lot of comedians engage in social commentary. But now you have people who just have platforms and they do podcasts and they're personalities and they're influencers and whatever else, and they are able to kind of cut the mold and bring something unique, which is kind of why we're spoiled, right? We're spoiled in a way, and I know that there's times, probably last episode, I don't remember what I even talked about, and that was like an hour ago from when I'm recording this one. So I don't even remember what I was talking about, but I tend to complain that the mainstream and whatever, and it's only gotten stronger because more people are behind it, and people are far more inundated with nonsense because, the more open the world is, the more good stuff there is to consume, but there's also a lot of stupid nonsense there is to consume. So that's kind of, I kind of forget the good part, right? And that's me. That's just my negative being, one that I can't seem to shake, one that for whatever reason I feel compelled to share with all of you people who tune in on a somewhat regular basis. So that's what's interesting about podcasts, is that anybody can do it, anybody can own it, right? You don't need a company behind you anymore. All you need to do is buy the equipment, do some kind of research, and maybe, now again, in terms of success, in terms of reach, right, a company is probably good, a name's probably good, getting certain guests, whatever. I'm sure it helps in terms of whatever your goal is with the show, whatever your level of success is. But if you just want a medium to go out to just have, right, that you can do with freely, you can start and stop, and it's what you want to talk about. It's you create it for yourself, right? Because ultimately the best stuff that you create is the stuff that you like. That's where people get confused, right? They want to pander, they want to appeal to a particular audience, and God forbid you want to appeal to everybody. Oh my God, that's a futile effort already, right? That's already something that's impossible to do. You can't make everybody like the shit that you do. And God help you if you go into anything trying to do that. God help you if you're the type of person that wants everyone to like them and to enjoy them and whatever, because that is a futile. But even to try and find a specific audience, you sound very marketing type. You sound like somebody who's in advertising. You sound like somebody who's looking for a demographic, right? You kind of need to let that happen. From what I'm where it comes from, my philosophy, right? And I'm nobody. I haven't made it anywhere. I haven't done anything. I'm just someone who's trying to figure it out. But from where I'm sitting and from the artistry that I try to mimic, because that's all you are at the beginning, is until you find your style, you're someone who just plays a character and you mimic, and you're acting as somebody rather than being who you are initially or totally. But, from what I observe, there's a market for everything. You just have to find it. You follow? There's a market for Gwar, right? For those of you who don't know the band Gwar, it's a death metal band who is known for their outlandish stage presence. They dress up in these crazy alien monster fucking outfits, and they play death metal, and they throw midgets into the crowd, and they throw raw meat around. It's filthy and disgusting, and there's shit all over and whatever, right? But they're some of the most popular. They're one of the most popular bands to ever be created. I've talked to a guy who said he's seen Gwar dozens of times, and that could be an exaggeration, but he said multiple times. I mean, there's people out there who will enjoy whatever it is the fuck that you're making without you trying to pander, without you trying to make something that will be palatable for a certain kind of person. Which is why it's not for everybody, because some people aren't able. They don't have the independent thought. They don't have enough of that can supply a creative endeavor in any facet, especially over a career or a period of time, a long period of time, right? A career in entertainment or a career in artistry is one that is not for everybody. It's not something that you could just wake up and say, yeah, I mean, you can get better, and I'm nobody to say, I'm not someone that can say, hey, just, you don't have it, stop doing it, right? That's not where I sit. I don't like when someone says, you should do this and you shouldn't do that. And I try to avoid saying things like that. But what is true is if you're not willing to put it on the line, if you're not willing to experiment, if you're not willing to learn different techniques and be vulnerable, which is most important when it comes to creating and in anything, right? Even something as low risk as a podcast. A podcast is arguably the most low risk when it comes to creating things, right? I mean, I guess you could say painting, but really with anything else, you need an audience, right? Music, you need an audience. You got to learn how to play music. You got to understand music in some facet. Then you got to create music. You got to learn how to, if you're going to do both, right? You got to write words. You got to write lyrics. You got to be proficient in writing, and then now you got to do it in front of people and get immediate fucking feedback in front of people. Scary as fuck. Same thing with stand-up. Same thing with acting. Same thing with, I don't know, fucking dictating and public speaking and these type of things. You don't. It's not like a podcast where you can sit here, or even a radio show. We were talking about a radio show. Radio show is tough, right? Because now it's you're live. You got to be live. Doing anything live streaming is tough because it's, even though you're not in front of people, it's not as tough as being in front of people and getting immediate reactions that way. But it's close. It's a close second. And then next would be podcasting. Podcasting or painting, if you're not going to do it live in front of anybody, this is me creating it, and then, boom, it goes out, right? It goes out, and sometimes you get immediate feedback, but it's not the same thing. It's not even close to the same fucking thing. So I feel like this might even be a good way to ease yourself into doing something like that. I don't want this episode to be me coming on here to convince people, well, you should start a podcast. No. I'm really what I'm saying is the positive, why I enjoy it, why I think it's a good thing for what I'm doing, and why I want to continue to do it. It's just like, a fighter who runs. The running is going to help them when they're actually fighting, when they're actually throwing punches and kicks. The running is going to help them just like this helps me. And I already spoke about that, so I don't mean to go back on that. Anyway, I spoke about that a couple episodes ago. I also understand that this week has been a lot of repetitive stuff that I've spoken about on here. It's really because I want to go out with some sort of a bang. I want to go out with as much as I can give you, because this show has really become a major part of my life. When I moved to Connecticut, I didn't know what the fuck I was going to do with this show, guys. I didn't know, because I came from a phenomenal setup. Even the basement setup was better than this one, guys. We could be honest. Even the basement setup of the show, when I first started the show, and I had no windows in a basement that would flood, and it was dirty, and you couldn't really see me well. Even that was better than kind of what I started running with when I moved here. Because to me, ideally, I want a show with guests. I want to do episodes with just me as well, but I want to do guests. My favorite era of the show had to have been when I had the big setup, when I had all 4 mics set up. I had a big table. We could drink. I could invite people over. I could have a mix of friends and new people and Zoom guests and the whole thing. And now I when I moved, it really, my biggest concern was figuring out what to do with this fucking show, because especially at that point, I was only at a year and some change, right? Almost 2 years. It was in April or March or whenever the fuck I moved. And it was a painful time, guys. It was a painful time. I didn't really talk about it in a way that I'm thinking of talking about it now when it was happening, but it was a rough fucking time. Maybe you guys could hear it in my voice. You could hear it in the rhetoric of the show. You could hear it in just the way that I said things. I'm sure that I was a lot more irritable. I was heavier then. I was more worried about life and money and what the fuck is going to happen next and how am I going to do comedy. I'm an hour away from everything. I moved to a fucking shitty town. Everything bad was happening at that point in my life. And in my research of what I'm going to do with the show going forward, I'm definitely going to listen to those episodes and compare them with the prior ones, the ones after that, and and the whole thing. But I was definitely going through a lot at that point in time, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do with the show until I decided that we're going to do it solo, and we're going to do it twice a week like we've been doing it, with an hour at a time, and it's going to be me trying to be as funny and as dark and as painful as a motherfucker could get. And that was my thinking at that point in time. And then it kind of turned into still me being funny, a little more lighthearted. Life got a little bit easier. I got a little more my feet under myself, and I got on a schedule with money. And, I remember at that time, for so many months, it was me just absolutely stressed out at the end of the month. If you listen to the episodes that were like at the end of the month, you could probably hear the despair and the urgency in my voice, right? Maybe sometime, maybe not, right? Maybe I'm just thinking that you could, because I feel like I would, right? Maybe when I listen back, knowing the headspace I was in, it's going to sound very different than the ones after that. But I at the end of the month, I was always just so worried about money, so worried. What the fuck am I going to do? My credit cards, I mean, they're still ramped the fuck up. I'm trying to pay them off before I move. I got kind of lucky toward the end of the year with work. It's been busy. I've been good. I've been making some money, and it's been all right. But I know that soon that's going to go away, and then everything's going to be uprooted again, and I'm going to be going to another place, and I feel like I need to prepare myself for that, which is partly why I'm stepping away from the show. The bigger part is obviously to make the show better, to get some new equipment, checks and balances, the whole thing. But money is such a scary thing for everybody. It really is. And in recent months, I've found it to be, probably because I've been making good money, but I've found it to life's just easier when you stop giving a fuck about it. It really is. It really is. When you're so worried about money, you can get away with it for a good period of time. But when you're a guy like me who isn't really in the business of making money right now, I want to build myself. I want to build my character. I want to get better at comedy. I want to get to a point where I get paid for this shit that I'm doing. The effort that I'm putting in, I get paid $0 for it. You understand that? I've been doing this podcast for over 2 years. I don't get a cent. I don't get nothing. I've gotten like 1 or 2 donations on my Buy Me a Coffee fucking stupid link that I know nobody is interested in. I don't have enough people that subscribe for me to even do any sort of affiliate marketing or get a sponsor. I don't have enough people that listen. I don't have any of that shit. I don't. And this isn't me sitting here bitter. It's none of that shit. It's me understanding that this is still the infancy of this show, and it's still the infancy of my comedy. I've only been doing it a little over a year, and when I look back, it's like, damn, you've honestly done some incredible shit. I mean, you did a show in New York City. Okay, I did a show in New York City in like March or something. Do you understand that? Or whenever the fuck I did it, February, I don't remember. I started comedy in August, and I killed at a show in New York, and I built relationships, and I did. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you don't understand how hard you're working and you don't know if you're doing good. It's hard to gauge, right? Especially when you're sitting where you're at. But when you look from where you came, it's like, holy shit, we done some stuff. Now, do I feel that way about this show? Not necessarily, right? I mean, again, I started from zero. I started from absolutely zero. No episodes, no subscribers, no anything. Now I'm at 260 episodes. I have some subscribers. I have some downloads. It's exponentially greater, right? When you go from zero to whatever the fuck I'm at now, it's definitely better, right? I've made progress. There's no such thing as no progress when you first start off. You're making some progress. Something is happening. You understand? Something is happening, and I put a lot of time into these things, and I don't get paid for any of it, which is okay. But I can't do that forever, right? You can't do that forever. As much as I want to think that I could do that forever, I can't do it forever. I have to front load, which is what I'm doing now. I'm working like endlessly hard. Endlessly hard, and I just want people to understand that if this is going to be the last episode for a while, and I need to leave you guys with this fucking this fact of my life that I work so goddamn hard at this shit. And I'm not even here trying to pat myself on the back. I'm not. It's just what's kind of coming out of me at the moment. I really. And I undermine myself every goddamn day. And I know you guys do as well. I know you guys miss a workout or you miss something. You had all this planned for the day and you missed one or two things. And you write off the rest of the shit that you did or whatever. And you shouldn't, right? And you shouldn't. And you will, but you shouldn't, right? And I envy those people who are able to kind of just do things and just be happy doing them. And that's how I try to live my life. I try not to give myself these crazy ultimatums anymore. That's the killer of self-confidence, are these crazy, damn near intangible ultimatums that we create for ourselves. And it is better than creating these very low standards and reaching them, right? It is better than that. It's a quote from somewhere. But it's not good, right? It's not good. That's why I don't do the goals shit anymore, right? I remember I used to come on here, well, here are my goals for this quarter. Shut the fuck up, you self-important narcissist motherfucking prick. Nobody cares about your goals. Nobody gives a fuck about them. That's the thing, right? Nobody cares about your goals. You have to care about them. And once you stop caring about them, then nobody cares about them. Yes or yes. So here's the reality of the situation. For me and for some other people, goals don't work. Goals are like an image of a trophy that you haven't received yet. Goals are like a check that you have not received yet and you're trying to put in the work for. But here's the thing, it's like a credit card. Okay? It's like a credit card. You hope that you make the money at one point to pay it off. So that eventually when you reach your goal, all your debts are paid. You hope you get to that point. But that's not necessarily the case, right? And then when you don't reach your goal, it's just like any other desire, any other want that you attempt to achieve in your life. It's something that you look at that you failed. You fucked up. But if you stop with this goals nonsense, that's what they tell you. We want goal-oriented people. In school, they tell you got to have goals. You got to make goals. You got to have these goals. And that's fine if that works for you. That's cool. It worked for me for a little bit of time. You want to know when it stopped working? When my goals became too massive. Do you understand? Then it's just a vision. It's not a goal. I have visions constantly. I have ideas of where I'd like to be at some point in my life. But I don't think any of the work that I put in is getting me any closer to them than any of the work that I don't put in. Do you follow what I'm saying? Because I've said this before on here, where you've been told to believe that if you want it hard enough and you work hard enough and you keep it in your mind and you'll get it, that's not necessarily the truth. It's not necessarily the truth. And this isn't bleak. This is realistic. It's not necessarily the truth. So the way that you get away from that kind of worry of letting yourself down, that worry of not reaching whatever fucking peak that you ever wanted to reach, just fucking get rid of it. Get rid of it, because if you get rid of it and you come close, right, you don't have that, oh, well, I could have made it to there. Look at that one more level that I could have made it to. Rather than saying, look how far I came and got to this point. Look at this point that I made it to. Right? Trying to chase a vision, trying to get to this point in yours. But if you didn't, look at all the work you put in. Look at all the time. Look at all the effort that you got, and look at what you got out of it. And if it's nothing, if it's still zero, then hopefully you're still happy with that. Hopefully you can find peace in the fact that you tried really fucking hard, and you got it's these goals and these ideas of getting to a certain point by a certain period of time. It's the killer of people's ideas of themselves, right? Now conversely, or opposite of what I'm saying, everybody wants to be that self-made person that set a goal out for themselves and they achieved it through whatever work that they think got them to that point. And again, it can be an ultimate motivator if you get to those goals, right? And you could dig back in that cookie jar, like David Goggins says, and say, well, I got to this point. Why can't I get to this point? And yes, goals and achievements are great when you move on past them, when you don't let them define you. If you let them define you, if your entire life is, I'm going to be a millionaire before I die, I'm going to make as much money as I can before I fucking die, right? And that's your entire life. What if your earning ability goes away, right? What if your business of whatever the fuck you created becomes obsolete, and now your entire life, yes, you've made all the money, but your idea, your hustle, your baby is gone. You know, it's not necessarily. It's just like I'm going to climb Mount Everest, okay, and then what? Now you got your point. That's it. You've gotten there. It should just be a feather. It should be just like anything else. I woke up this morning. You know, it shouldn't be any. Yes, there's things that people look at and they marvel at, but pride and being proud of yourself is the same thing as having a goal and trying to get to some end point, right? And I don't agree with being proud of anything. You know, pride is it's an ugly fucking trait. People are proud of their heritage. They're proud of stupid shit. They're proud of their ability to do one thing or another. To me, that doesn't matter. Pride is nothing. Pride is a cancer. Now, am I shielded from these feelings? This is something that always comes up in this show. No, I'm not. I feel all of these feelings all the time. But to really become zen, to not be worried about what's, you know, am I going to make it to this point by this period in time? And it's dumb, right? And this is quite the shift from you listen to 2 years ago or a year ago around this time. I'm talking about you got to get your goals in line and you got to whatever and you do this. But I don't know. I guess I've reached some period of enlightenment where goals don't make sense for me. They don't necessarily work for me. I think that if you work hard and you get to a place where you can afford yourself a nice car, cool. If you can afford yourself a home, if you got yourself a family, that's great. That's awesome. That's nice that you got there. It's very good. But if you didn't get there, you have to imagine that. This is for the people who haven't gotten there, for the people who haven't, who don't know if they ever will and are worried that they might not ever and that it will affect their entire life. That's what this conversation is for. It's for people who probably shouldn't be goal-oriented. There's nothing wrong with not being goal-oriented. Doesn't mean you're going to work any less hard. Doesn't mean you're not going to be eligible for promotions. It doesn't mean any of that shit. Okay? It doesn't mean that you won't make it to a point in life that you want to, right? Because you can be goal-oriented and not make it to a point, make it to that point. And now all you've done is put something that inevitably became intangible for you, and now it's over. Well, I should have done this, and I could have done that, and I was almost there, and it's dumb, right? This idea of a destination is strange in this life because there is no destination. No matter how hard you want to believe that, oh, yes, this is all for something, and we don't know what it's all for. It all comes to an end the same way, right? No one comes out of it alive, so why are you so worried about some sort of end goal, some sort of level of achievement that can be attained? I get it. You want to make your most out of this life. Well, there's a lot of ways to do that. It doesn't necessarily need to be in the form of achievement. It doesn't need to be in the form of gain. You follow what I'm saying? Did you help others? Did you leave some type of did you leave an impact on the people that you were around the most? Do people remember you for something? Do you have interesting stories? Did you do cool shit? I mean, I don't know. All that stuff to me matters more than whether or not, your driveway heats up. Whether or not you got a bed that can jerk you off eight ways to Sunday while you can eat ice cream off your fucking stomach. And I don't mean to and again, goals aren't always tangible things, but I don't mean to make it sound like a materialistic idea, right? Goals for self-betterment and becoming better as a person, those exist. Again, I don't know if I agree. I mean, are you going to stop? Are you going to get to a point and say, I'm the best person I've ever gotten. I've helped so many people. I've done so many things for so many people. I think this is as good as a person as I'm going to get. I'm going to stop. I'm a good brother. I'm a good husband. I'm a good lover. I'm a good dad, a good mom. I've gotten to where I am good. No. You can always get better at those things. When it comes to yourself, when it comes to knowledge of self, you can always know more about yourself. You can always become something better for yourself, or at least maintain where you're at, right? That shouldn't mean that you stop. Hey, I'm good now. I'm going to be good for a year, and then I am going to be back on my bullshit. I've worked hard to get this good, and now that's it. No. Goals for character development, they do exist. I disagree with those probably even more, okay? Because if you're a bad person, then there is no stopping when it comes to being good because you can revert back. You know what I'm saying? If you're good and you want to be bad, well, then you can get even worse. You can get worse. It's who you are as that person. It shouldn't be a concrete, we're going to stop here and that's it. So, I don't know. I don't know what even brought me to this fucking tangent in the first place. Oh, goals, and we're getting to that point in the year. Well, there's only a few days left. But we're getting to that point where it's very, everyone wants to say that they're going to do something new this year and they're going to whatever. Just save yourself the fucking trouble. Save yourself the trouble. Save yourself the ink. Okay? You know what you should say? I'm going to continue to work on the things that I enjoy doing, the things that I want to get better at, and I'm going to continue doing that. I'm going to assess what I'm doing correctly. I'm going to assess what I'm doing wrong, and we'll try to fix the areas. We're going to try and double down where we're doing good, and we're going to get rid of where we're doing bad. That's it. That's all you should worry about. You shouldn't, and again, I'm doing the you should and you shouldn't thing, but it's much easier. It's much easier to live that way. Much easier to live that way, and I don't think that you're going to see any less progress in your life. You might actually have more because you don't have this idea hanging over your head of I have to get to here or else I'm a bum. I got to buy a house by the time I'm this age or else I'm a bum. People still worried about buying homes and all that shit. It's like, give it a fucking break, man. Give it a break. I hear my friends, and I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of the ones that are moving on and they're becoming parents or they're getting married or they're trying to work on getting a home and bettering themselves. And I'm not trying to anti-better yourself. I'm trying to take less pressure. We put so much pressure on our fucking selves, right? We're 25 years old, me and my friends, or my friends and I. We're all around that age. And we're all so worried about or a lot of them are worried about getting to a place of stability. I've said this before, stability's overrated, man. Stability is only something that we've created as technology is increased. Right? As technology has increased, we've come with stability, with this idea of stability, because we don't want the alternative. We think the alternative is bad. We think the alternative leads to self-destruction or whatever. And when I say stability, I mean the person that literally doesn't ever do anything new. They never try to challenge themselves. They just want to get to a point where they've made money. They have some career. They know that in so many years they'll get raises. They know that they have a 401k. They're investing in their future. They have a home. They know that their home will be there for as long as they're alive, hopefully, as long as they don't move to somewhere like fucking New Orleans where they get flooded out, or hurricanes, whatever. They know that they have their home, and then eventually that they can sell that and they can live and whatever. And they live their entire lives behind that idea. And people are happy with that. And I'm not here to discourage that, but I would add that you probably should add some things to your life that aren't revolving around that, right? You can get personal gain outside of that place, and depending on how much of that you want to let into your life, how risk averse you are, that'll determine your lifestyle. Right? Now, there's the guy who has all those things that I said. He's got a beautiful family and all that stuff. But twice a week, him and his buddies strangle each other in their garage, right? They all practice jujitsu, right? They do that, okay? Or they all go snowboarding, or, I don't know, they go hiking or some shit. I don't know. There's a part of you that allows for instability to take place. You can't control everything, and that's what we're most worried about. That's the fact that humans don't want to engage in. They don't want to adhere to the idea that we can't control everything. What do you mean? All you can do is control your destiny. You gotta control your destiny. You gotta grab this world by the balls. Grab the bull by the horns. You gotta be stable. You gotta have your feet under you. My dad always told me, you can't build a house from the top down. You got to build it from the... That's what you got to do. You got to have a stable structure. So boring. Oh, God. So fucking boring. So miserable. You want to see misery? Go to one of your friends who just had a kid. Go to their house a year and a half later. After they've had that kid, after they've gotten past the... Ooh, this is and they take all the pictures and they have all this stuff, Look, go see them in a year and a half if you want to see what that's all about. See how look at the bags under the mother's eyes after she's run around with their kid all day, trying to teach them, trying to keep up with a child whose learning potential is endless, and while you yourself are at a point where you're not able to learn anything because you have a child to teach, right? And you got to keep, maybe you're a working parent, right? Well, I'm gonna go by what I saw, right, from my friends. This particular couple, the mama stays home. She takes care of the kid and cleans the house and prepares whatever, dinner, whatever. This is the roles that they pick, people. This isn't me saying that women should be no. This is the roles that they chose. While Papa's out working, right? And then Papa comes home, and he's tired from work. But Mama's tired from working as well. So you're both equally fucking tired, but she's been with the kid all day, and it's time for her to cook, and she's fucking exhausted, and she barely wants to cook, and now you have to watch the fucking kid as Papa, who's been working, and you got to play with him, and you got to whatever. And I'm not saying that this is every day in terms of misery, right? Because this particular day I saw them, they were exhausted. They looked tired. They looked like they're feeling the weight of the situation now, right? The first so many months, people are coming over and they're taking pictures with the kid and everyone wants to see him and oh my God, he's so cute and da da da. And then a year and a half later, those people stop showing up as often. They stop showing up. People are less willing to watch your kid for you to go out and have fun with your, with your husband or with your wife or whatever. People are less willing to do that now because they realize that they have their own lives and you get what I'm saying. It is for me. It looks like something that I don't want to engage in right now. It's nothing against them. They're great people. They're some of my very, very good friends. They're doing a great job, and I'm very proud of them. But from where I'm sitting, a single guy who kind of lives hand to mouth, day by day. I eat mushrooms. I smoke weed. I talk to strange women. I don't care about money. I don't care about tomorrow. I don't know what's happening. I'm trying to. I have a one-track mind, and it's focused on a dream that probably won't. Nothing will come from it. But as that guy, I look at that and say, "Oof, phew, I want to put that off as long as I can. I want to put it off as long as I can, guys." And that's just from where I'm sitting. It just looks it looks painful. But at the same time, you want to know what else is painful? Being a single old guy. Being an old guy. Being a 60-year-old man without a wife, without kids, without any kind of legacy, without anything. That's scary as fuck, too. Don't think I don't think about that. Don't think that I don't think about times when I'm like, fuck, dude, if I get to be old and nothing plays out for me, and I ain't got no kids, then I will have done nothing. I will have literally done nothing in my life. You follow what I'm saying? So I don't know. I've talked about stability on here. I've talked about how it's not necessarily something that I think about right now. Right now, I'm just front loading. I'm front loading my life. I'm doing all the things that would be too hard to do if I got a woman pregnant. If I ended up getting a 40-hour-a-week job that took more of my time than I wanted it to. That's right now. And I'm young, right? I'm young. I can drive the hours. I can do the stupid shit. And I still don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about what people say, what people think. I'm sure if I were to go see my extended family, they would wonder what I'm doing. And when I would tell them, they'd say, oh, okay, cool. Well, if you need a job, we can, and that's when the ears turn off. That's when it goes in one ear and out the other, and I am no longer interested in what it is you're telling me. And that's kind of where I stand right now, and I hope I keep it that way for a little bit because I need to. That's the kind of mindset you need if you're doing what the fuck I'm trying to do, and I know most of you that listen aren't trying to do anything that I'm trying to. You probably hear what I'm saying and say, this guy's a fucking lunatic. This guy's a lunatic. And that's what I'm here for. You guys live vicariously through me. And I mean, guys, there's been very little in my life to grab a hold of me and keep my attention like this podcast and even more so stand-up comedy, right? Because this podcast I could do on my own. I could do it on my own time. I could fuck around. I could miss an episode if I want. But comedy is something that is legitimately a skill. It's something that takes time. It takes effort. I don't just fuck around, right? I feel the need to tell my family from time to time that it's not just, I don't just do an open mic once a week and I write something new every once in a while. No. I can't turn it off. I can't turn stand-up comedy off, guys. I'm sitting here talking to you. I'm constantly thinking about jokes that I've written. I'm thinking about ideas. I'm thinking about sets. I'm listening to old sets. I'm thinking about where I'm going to go do. How can I get the most out of tonight's comedy? Can I drive an hour this way and then make it here for an hour? And then can I do this? This is all I'm thinking about all the fucking time, guys. My entire life has been it's the only thing that if I don't look at it that way, if I don't look at stand-up comedy in the way that I'm looking at it, if I don't look at it with professional intentions, then I'll never make it to that point. I'll never get anywhere close. And even more so, I would feel more like a fucking bum than I already do sometimes. Because I have a shitty job that I don't enjoy going to. I don't get any benefits. I get very little, right? I get paid decent sometimes, but it's really just to pay bills and to subsist, right? Pay bills, get weed sometimes, right? Some mushrooms, the whole thing. That's really all it is. That's all my job is to me, okay? And from the outside looking in, somebody looks at what I'm doing, they're going to say, you are kind of a bum, you don't do shit. My backup or my go-to answer to that is, no, I'm a comedian. I do it every night. I write all the time. I spend a lot of time doing it. I watch sets. I listen to sets. I make notes, right? You have to treat it seriously, and especially for myself. If I don't treat comedy and this podcast seriously, then I am legitimately doing nothing. I'm legitimately wasting my fucking time doing nothing, just being a bum, fucking around. Comedy is what justifies my existence. It doesn't define my existence, but it justifies what I'm doing with my life. It justifies why I don't want a 40-hour-a-week job. It justifies why I can't work in a corporate office, why I don't care about getting a job with benefits and 401k. And it justifies that in my mind because I have a different plan. And I know that if I work one of those jobs, I will easily get too comfortable, too stable to pursue this shit. Easily. I've already seen it happen. I made a bunch of money in November. Made a lot of money in November. More money than I made all year. November was my big month. Made a bunch of money. And there were nights where I was like, I don't feel like going to do this. I don't need to do this. I'll make him. And that's like a stupid example. That's like a dumb fucking example. That's me working the same job and I just had a good month. And there were nights where like, nah, I'm going to stay in. Fuck that. I don't need to do this. You know? And then obviously you mix it in with the November shenanigans I have yet to shut up about. And you get sidetracked. But I know that if I was given a cushy position somewhere and life was just given to me like it is to a lot of other people or to some people, then I'd crumble. I would not give a fuck about comedy anymore. I know it to be true. So that's why my only backup plan will come when I've completely given up on stand-up. If, I don't mean to say when, but if that does happen where I'm like, okay, I've done this for as long as I can. I've brought this as far as I can. I don't know that I want to keep pursuing this. I'll be a fucking fireman, which I've spoken about before. Early 30s, right? Fireman, they'll take me. And then I still have time to build a life from there. So, again, that is a backup plan that is mushed into the back of my fucking head. It's nothing that I think about often, but it is nonetheless where I'll go if this shit doesn't work out. But I don't think of it like that. I don't think of it working out or not working out. I think of just doing what the fuck I can to get better at what it is that I'm doing. And that's the best. That's what I think is the best way to look at it. Now, to end this episode, I should just get to what it is that I'll be doing in my time off. I've spoken about it, but really, what I'll be doing is. This is the last episode of the year. Okay, it would be anyway, even if I wasn't stopping. But this is, of course, the last episode of the year. It's the last episode for the next few months until spring. Now, I'm thinking May to come back. Now, a lot of things are going to have to come into play. I'm going to have to remain focused for this time period because very soon, after January, probably February, I will be posturing to move to New York, okay? New York has been my fucking goal for a long time. I'm ready to move there. I feel like now is the time to do it. I feel like living in New London and doing this and going through the pain and the heartache that I went through here all by myself. Yes, it sucked in the moment, but it taught me what I'm capable of and what I can achieve. That's the thing about humans. They'll find a way to survive. So that's what I was able to do, and I feel like this was a great step. I feel like going right to New York would have been even more disastrous. You know, it would have been even scarier for me. But I'm happy that I was able to do this in this amount of time. So come February, it's going to be me trying to get to New York, trying to find a job, trying to find a room, and doing that until the end of March. I have until the end of March, so I don't want to lollygag. I don't want to wait. We need to get on the motherfucking move with that shit. So that's what's going to be happening February and March. In that same time, I'm going to still be doing comedy. I'm going to be pursuing comedy as often as I can. Again, there's going to be a lot of moving parts, a lot of crazy shit going on. I'm going to be trying to sell some of the stuff I have. But the goal is to move out to New York with my car, with as much of the stuff as I have that I can fit into my room. And, the car is going to be for the road. I'm going to be traveling to do shows as often as I can. I'm going to be traveling all throughout the North. Really anywhere. I'll go fucking anywhere, guys. I have no problem. I'll quit a fucking job and get a new one. I have zero problem with that. It's just important to have a road car as a comedian. And my car, I love the fucking thing. I want to see how long I can push the motherfucker. I feel like I got one for well over 200,000 miles because we're at 178 almost soon. I'm going to need an oil change. But the car's coming with me. I'm going to bring as much shit as I can. And obviously in that time, of course, aside from doing comedy, the time that I would be spending on the podcast is going to still be spent on the podcast in a different way. We're going to be, I'm going to be presenting you guys some questions, some polls on Instagram. Of course, every Wednesday, we're still going to have those old school clips. So I'm going to be active on the Instagram. I'll be putting up sound bites from episodes before we even had video, maybe clips from episodes I didn't make clips from before, rewinds, all this stuff. I'm going to be active on social media. I'm going to be asking you guys questions. I want to know what you guys liked about the show, what you didn't like about the show. I'm going to be doing research. I'm going to be designing the new studio, the new space to record in, find a place that's comfortable with me doing an episode or doing a podcast or whatever. I'd like to start cycling guests in again. I know more people in New York than I do in Connecticut, so maybe I can meet some people through some people and whatever else. I got a plan for bringing guests back into the show, and we'll get into that come the spring. As far as what the show is going to be like when I first come back, it's probably going to be very similar to this, just with better equipment, hopefully some better production in terms of marketing, the marketing aspect of the show, and probably shorter episodes, a little more palatable, maybe some more editing, and that's what's going to be happening, guys. Also, my Squarespace, blast from the past. Substack, I'm trying to get that going. Again, I want to do a piece a month, sometime in the month. I'm not holding myself to any kind of high regard with this. It's just going to be a piece. It's going to be something that's forcing me to write once a month. Probably not going to be anything too long. Just whatever the fuck I'm thinking. It's going to be like a written fucking podcast, and that's going to help me with comedy as well. So, guys, listen. Holy shit, we made it. I fucking love everybody that's listened to this show over the past, 2.5 years. 260 episodes. Holy fucking Christ. We have something documented that I have done 260 times. Never thought that I would ever see the day that I could stay committed to something. Really, I swear to God. This podcast has given me the strength, I guess, the wherewithal to know that I can actually do shit. Ha ha ha! I can do something. I can do something consistently. I can force myself to consistently put in effort at a time and a place that other people are expecting me to be there for. And that's kind of what got me to have the balls to say that I'm going to try and make a career out of comedy and make a career out of this thing as well. And for my next ballsy trick, it's going to be taking this act over to New York and seeing how long we can hack it out there. And also in the time, we're going to be paying off some debt. We're going to be trying to focus on the money and making making the right moves when it comes to that. And that's it, motherfuckers. For the last time, for the next few weeks, for the last time, for the next few months, I say to you, peace and talk to you soon.
Oh, me again. Follow the show, subscribe on the YouTube, buy me a coffee, use the links. Bye-bye.